A fortnight ago, the Farming and Wildlife Advisory Group held their annual awards ceremony recognising the best in wildlife-friendly farming. Simon Clarke interviewed winners, judges and organisers and began by talking to Sir John Lorimer.
I thought they did brilliantly, and it was just really interesting to see the variety of farms that they visited during the judging phase, and also the different initiatives that each of the farms was were looking at to sort of combine, the farming, there's a production side with the conservation side. I thought it was really impressive. Looking at across every segment of the sort of the countryside and how it impacts on their individual farm, where they live, but also the wider island. And I think that was highlighted often today. Last year we were judges. We weren't this year, and I've kind of put in as a bid request to be a judge again next year, because we learned so much. It was a real privilege to be able to go around the farms, and I know that the judges this year found the same. You learn so much from people who are all doing an incredible job, as I said, bringing in all these initiatives and really trying to make the best. And we're very keen to remain involved with all aspects of the sort of farming community.
Well, Liz Charter, you were on the judging panel.
I was.
More from the wildlife side of things?
Yes, I'm an ecologist, conservationist, although my family had a farm years and years back. My grandparents had a farm, but it's fantastic for me as an ecologist to get onto people's farms and see what they've got.
I suppose that put you in good stead for it, really, because you could wear both hats when you've seen it from both sides.
Yeah, that's true, yes. But it's really rather fantastic to be able to share with the farmers their knowledge of their farms as well, because they know what they've got, the swallows coming in and out of the barn doors, or the curlews roosting at the top of the fields. They can tell you so much about what's on their land.
Well, you'll have seen it on island and off island. How do we compare?
Oh, that's an unfair question, because if you've been on the island as long as I have, which is more than 25 years now, I mean, you're biased towards the island, aren't you? So it's different, but then even parts of the island are different. What you see up in the north is so different from what you see up in the hills. It's so varied here. We don't have the huge seabird numbers that you get in parts of Britain, and I was over at Heysham, just got off the ferry, big numbers of roosting knots and things, but over here you've got things on a different scale because it's a smaller island. So what I think would be good is if we could get a better handle on what's on some of the bigger commercial farms, because I think it's important to understand the relationship between the wildlife and the farming practices, and the more we understand about that, the better we can accommodate the wildlife. At the moment, I think in some of the species are just hanging on. I'm involved in a tree sparrow project, for example, and the tree sparrows are really only just hanging on. There's something about our farming that we've lost that was the support for tree sparrows, not house sparrows. We're fine for house sparrows chattering away in bushes, but tree sparrows are a little bit different, and we must find out what it is that we do on farms that would help them. And the Wildlife Trust has a project officer looking at that at the moment, and I've been on that committee. So I'm interested in the things that are on the edge as well as the things that are doing well.
Well, Will Kane, let's get a chat with you. Derek and Jane and yourselves, congratulations. You won the long-term commitment to habitat management at the awards ceremony. How's that feel?
Feels great, yeah. It's not really down to me. Mum and Dad came down to Glendown 30, 40 years ago, and it's through them mainly that everything's been done. Dad decided to dig out a pond and plant some trees, and it's only now, 30 years later, that it's starting to come through, and that's what the award is for.
I suppose people think of this as quite a modern thing, but as you're saying there, it was stemming back the start of it many years back.
Yeah, most of it is done through enjoyment for the farmer, not just for the agri-environment scheme or anything like that. It's for the farmers' enjoyment. They enjoy seeing the animals, all the birds, the bees. It's not just farming, it's looking after the environment too.
Yeah, and when you look around, we've always seen over the years that there'll be some farms with fences all over the place and overgrown, and some farmers for many years, even before any awards were available or the prestige of having them, but like to keep their hedges neat and tidy, isn't it?
Well, most of it so your neighbours can't see it and start giving you abuse, or that's my case anyway.
Well, Michael Convig, you and your family have been highly commended in the award ceremony today. Listening to the speeches today and the awards and what the judges are saying about the winners, I mean, it must be nice to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my granddad George has done a lot on our farm for the past probably 30, 40 years with conservation down by the river, and he's played a big part in that. And then we run the main dairy herd.
A lot of the people think that because of the schemes that's introduced now, farmers have been told to tidy up, sort of. I think this is the public perception of it. But I mean, when you say things like that, you know, and George taking this back 30 or 40 years, it's not something new, is it?
No, we've been doing it for a long time on the farm, and it's always nice to have that way of working alongside the agricultural side. I mean, we've got the busy areas of the farm where grazing, and then there's the lower areas which are the harder places to get to down by the river, which the animals can thrive in. And we rotational strip graze, and we move around on a 21-day cycle. So I mean, wildlife's got a chance to move around the farm itself, and there's hay meadows as well, which they can escape to as well.
Yeah. Let's get a chat with the DEFRA Minister, Claire Barber. Great to see you at these awards today, and the Isle of Man farm and community and the wildlife have gone hand in hand by the sound of it, and in good hands.
Absolutely. I think, if I want to know what birds make which noises or where to find different insects and wildlife, the farmers are absolutely the fount of all knowledge, I find. And as you say, they're custodians, guardians of our land. And when we think of the Isle of Man, I think certainly from my childhood coming here on holiday, it was the rolling fields and the beautiful nature that was the thing that really stuck in my memory indelibly, printed. And that's the thing I see now when I go out and talk to farmers, spend time on the farm, and actually you see just the amount of work that goes into making everything looking that pristine, because it's not just as simple as I think sometimes, certainly as children maybe we think, but there's just so much that goes into farming, whether it be land management, flood risk management, the hedgerow management, the actual crop management, and obviously nutrient soil management, all of those things that come together to then make sure they're producing some of what I absolutely know to be the best food in the world. So many of the farmers I've spoken to, this is how they've been farming for generations, and yet they're still learning from each other, sharing that knowledge, and opportunities such as this I think allow that even further. And we heard from Rob Cool talking about some of the things he'd seen on other farms, and he's out there judging this year because he won last year, and he'll be going on to represent the Isle of Man for the Silver Lapwing Award as well, which is an absolute brilliant success story for us, and seeing the Isle of Man and the amazing work of our farmers that we know is there and is happening all the time, but now showcased across the United Kingdom as well, where they can then see that and start to realise that actually maybe they should all come over here and have a little look at what our guys are doing, because the teams we have out on the farms in the Isle of Man really must be celebrated.
Ian Parsons, President of the NFU, great to see you here today. A good education for everyone.
Yeah, it's really good to just see how nature and active farming go hand in hand together. They don't have to be two separate things. It's the businesses we saw here on display today are producing food and looking after our environment whilst producing food. I think we have to sort of take it a step back though and champion the fact of what our agricultural industry does deliver here. I think we're in a really good place with our environmental schemes and how we are with our wildlife, our biosphere status. And an awful lot of that is delivered off the back of what the agricultural industry does. Got to be proud of what we do have.
Yeah. Are we still in a good position agriculturally?
I wouldn't say we're in a good position at the moment. I think certainly while I've been involved in the job, it's probably the most challenging it's been. I think it's the first time I've ever known when all sectors are probably feeling the strain, the knock-on effects of increased costs of production, increased energy costs. It's like many a household, it's having an effect. It's having an effect on these businesses too. But we could do with a little bit more support off government for they're the biggest feeder of people every day, and I'd like to see them use more Manx produce, more stuff that's produced on the Isle of Man. We need to sort of realise that we need to look after our food security or food sovereignty, because if we lose it, it'll be gone.
Well, let's get a word with Colin Kelly, Ballashamrock Farm. You and your family, I suppose you've been involved for quite a number of years, Colin, now.
But life, and I'm 76 or something, aren't I?
It's been handed down a little bit now, though, to the daughter and son-in-law.
I take a back seat now, and David Collister is running the show. Yeah, so I'm waiting the milking cows now. I don't know how many cows you've got. Probably 200 or 300 or something. Yeah, it takes a while to milk them all. But we grow a few crops, mainly barley and kale, and the farm's mostly grassland. And we're right on the east coast, so we have a lot of wild birds from coming off the brews, choughs and all sorts, really. Yes.
But it was nice to have mentioned the protection against erosion that they're trying to do on the farm, and the methane capture.
Well, there was a chap came over from Ballyman who have come up with a proposal to cover slurry tanks and capture the gas coming off and use it as a fuel for the farm tractors. So I think there's maybe a couple of farms in the southwest doing it, and maybe Northern Ireland, but I don't think anyone on the Isle of Man does it yet. But we might be interested in that. But the capital cost of setting up is horrendous. But we'll have to find fuel from somewhere.
Rob Cool and brother David, Malagorn Farm down the south of the island, here speaking today and judging this year's awards. Just reflect on what it was like last year when you got awarded the Bronze Chuff.
Well, it was obviously a surprise last year to have won it, and we were delighted to have done so, and just hope we've continued the good work throughout the year, and obviously to take it forward to the UK judging next year now. That's quite a challenge for us as a farm. So
just clarify what happened with that.
Well, we were judged over the criteria via a Zoom call, and it was decided that we would fall within the criteria to be considered further along the awards, and the judges are now coming over to the island to see our farm, and hopefully now they'll see this year's winner as well, and they'll go forward into the UK judging for consideration for the UK-wide competition. So hopefully a good thing for the island overall. Oh, I definitely think the island holds its own as far as wildlife and conservation go, and it's just going to be nice to challenge ourselves against these larger farms and larger operations in the UK. So hopefully we can do the island justice going forward.
And as the judging, were you given the criteria to what to look for, or you sort of knew it all from when you were taking part in it?
No, there was 10 or 12 criteria which we were asked to judge the competition by, and sometimes it is difficult to fit separate enterprises into some of these criteria that are, some of them are production based and some of them are wildlife based, but as an overall it's quite a fair criteria that the competition's judged by. There was massive diversity across all 6 farms we were asked to judge, and definitely no 2 of them are the same, and I think that's true for most farms on the island. There are no 2 operations that are the same, and a lot of it is down to them managing their own areas to the best of their knowledge and to the best of their experience. And there's a wonderful diversity of wildlife and fungi, fauna, whatever. There's so much I've seen over the 2 days of judging that even knowing some of the businesses, once you got further into the farms and seen more of it, there was really so much to see. And hopefully that can be further, more people can get out on these farms and see that, and it's a good thing for agriculture.
Well, the Small Farm Award winner went to Jenny and Rawdon. Many congratulations from Ballacushnaghan and Patrick. How does it feel to win an award like this?
absolutely amazing. When we came, I said to Rawdon, I'd be well happy if we get a highly commended. Didn't expect to win.
I'm very proud that I think what we're doing is being recognised, and I have to say all the other farmers it's been recognised is really especially good, particularly on this beautiful island, and that is actually the takeaway of this. It's actually we're the winners, but actually all the farmers are winners.
It seems, when listening to it seems a tricky area where your farm is to manage, is it?
Well, we've got from river floodplain to just below the mountain. So yeah, we've got different types of terrain, but Lochtons are ideally suited to that. But our passion is also what we can do, work with nature. And Lochtons lend themselves to that. Farming's changed so much since the Second World War, and to the detriment of all wildlife. Species have declined 85–90%. We can't keep ignoring that. I think everyone has to do something. Otherwise we're going to have a pretty sterile environment with no plants or wildlife. We had no idea what some people were doing, because you only seem to know what's going on your farm or your neighbours.
Yeah, we are in a bit of a bubble sometimes. You know, you get a little bit landlocked, so to speak.
It was lovely hearing what other people are doing.
Yeah. Got some ideas from it all?
Oh gosh, we've always got ideas. We just don't have the money to put them into to bring them all to fruition.
Also, we get a huge amount, not just on the island, but a huge amount from travels that we do with our wool-related business around the North Atlantic, from Gotland this year, and the European Wool Association, and talking to what other farmers are doing and what they're encountering. We're all encountering the same problems, but they're tackling things in slightly different ways, which makes us think at the same time, I wonder if we can do something here for ourselves on their model. And one thing we've started is, which some farms are doing in Europe, is their own charcuterie. So we're now just starting to do our own charcuterie on our farm. So it's diversification. That's what it's all about.
Well, many, many congratulations. Proudly holding that Chuff Trophy Award. Congratulations to you both.
We'll take a photo of it out with the sheet.
Anna Cherish from Balafale Farm, you and your family, congratulations. You've come away with the Bronze Chuff Award. How does that feel?
Really nice, really good surprise actually, because there's some strong competition, and nice to have taken part, and a nice bonus to be winners and to have the bronze chuff to take home.
They spoke about you've had to change your operations on the farm slightly and adapt to things, and has that helped with the sort of biodiversity side of it as well?
I think we're very lucky that we're on the coast. We've got some quite unusual habitat, and we've also got some wet land that grows a lot of orchids. And I think the difference is that my health has forced me to slow down and notice what's always been there, and kind of think, well, how can we work with that? For example, we've got what we call a curragh or a gary, a wet field. We've decided to fully protect that field, and we'll cut it later for hay to give the orchids more chance. And other things like we have coastal brews, we have chuffs there and curlew, and I've realised the importance of grazing that ground, and the judges actually pointed out that when you look around, a lot of the coast has just been swamped with bracken, but because we're grazing through the winter, we're keeping that under control, and we've got this quite unusual habitat of ant hills which need the ground kept open, and the chuffs need it open for feeding, so keeping the bracken under control is really important. So we make use of the coastal ground. We shut that off in the summer for the birds, and then just last week actually we've opened the gates and we can let them in to graze right down to the sea. And we also grow some green crop, so stubble, turnips, rape, kale, and that's actually a really good habitat. Butterflies love it. It's always full of linnets, and then we get the benefit of grazing that, and we put lots of muck back onto the soil whilst we graze it, and we're hoping this year that we won't need to buy any imported feed.
The swallows were mentioned as well. The swallow holes, was it?
Yeah, I must mention, so Rach is my helper day to day, and her partner Paul, he built a new shed door, and then at the last minute we realised the swallows, there was a late hatch in there, so he put this nice neat hole in, and when the judges arrived, the swallows were swooping in and out of there.
Well, by the sound of it though, Anna, your farm had everything that the judges were looking for this year.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I think it's just a case of taking a look at what you have got and just work with it to make sure that you keep it as it is, or even improve it if you can. And there's lots of ways that we can do that we'll top 700 ewes this year, so we're definitely commercial, and it's just fitting that in around the commercial side of farming. Just listening to the judges and what they had to say, I think there's lots of different habitat and possibly other things that we could do, like wetland creation is something that we could possibly think about a bit more.
Well, many congratulations to you and your family and all the team that work with you.
Thank you.
It's a great honour to see you all, and a well-deserved award. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Steve Wicks from Jackson's. How does it feel to have the car showroom full of what was going on today?
Farmers, our second year in a row, and last year they didn't scare us off. So no, it was fantastic. We were really, really proud to sponsor the Farming, the Wildlife Advisory Group Chuff Trophy for the second year. And maybe we don't stock all the cars that farmers would want here. We haven't got 20-year-old Land Rovers, but the main reason for us doing this is just to recognise the amount of the work that the farming community do for our island. We all drive around it in our cars, we look at it, we love the island, and we don't realise that over 70% of the land that we look and admire is actually managed by the farming community. So I think they really are the unsung heroes of the island, and it's really important that they're recognised, and that's why we do this, and that's why we hold it here. And Paul and Hill Fletcher, who organise it all every year, you can't say no to them for a start. You really can't. But aside from that, no, it's an absolute pleasure, and all of us at Jackson's are delighted to sponsor this.
Well, Paul Fletcher, you're the chairman of the Farming and Wildlife Advisory Group.
Absolutely. We sorted the weather out so we could get a good attendance of farmers along as well, Simon. But that won't please the ones that are out there trying to do the drilling. I was talking to one of the other entrants that on a different day, any one of the people that were judged could have been the winner. But there's so much to be seen, so much good practice out there, and the enthusiasm of each person. But when you see them on the yard, on the street, on their own farmstead, they're so humble, they're so private, and to them it's just what's there every day. I mean, George Ratcliffe was here today. He's probably one of the most senior members of FAG. He was the first treasurer when it was formed in the late 80s. So I mean, we're talking about 30 to 40 years ago since the organisation started, but as they were perhaps ahead of their time in a sense. When Liz was out doing a biodiversity study, she actually found another rare plant, farmland weed, some of us might call it, that was extinct on the Isle of Man, and she actually found it growing out Derby West.
Thanks to Simon Clarke for stepping in for me this week and finding out all about the Manx Farm Conservation Challenge. Don't forget this programme is available as a podcast on Manx Radio's website. For now though, I'm Phil Gorn. Go to my house on Geishtagrum. Thanks for listening.